All right, everyone, I just kind of wanted to hop on here and talk about Baker Mayfield. Now, this morning, Josina Anderson on Twitter came out and said, like, hey, I've heard from sources around the league, there is no trade market right now for Baker Mayfield. Browns don't have a lot of leverage in his trade market right now, and teams aren't in a rush at all to trade for Baker Mayfield. There is no market for him. Nobody's trying to trade for him. And look, I saw a lot of stupid, panicking reactions. A lot of people that just don't know what they're talking about and don't know the plain details that are in sight. That really shows that the Browns are not in trouble, because people are saying, oh, the Browns are in trouble and they've mismanaged this situation since there is no trade market for Baker right now. And I just gotta say, it's stupid. The Browns have not mismanaged this situation. They got their quarterback. Nobody has wanted to trade for Baker. That's what their situation is. But really, the meat and potatoes of this all is just the Browns aren't in trouble. And here's why. And I think people ignore this a lot. The Browns have almost $30 million in cap space. They're second in the NFL in cap space. And on June 2nd, they'll get $10 million in cap space from releasing Austin Hooper. So then they'll probably be first in the NFL in cap space, almost near $40 million. So that's incredible for them. But when I say that, I mean this. If they don't trade Baker Mayfield and cut him, there's no change to their salary cap room. They can afford to cut Baker Mayfield, still pay him all his money, and none of their salary cap space will change. And even if they keep him on their roster, they'll still be at the top of the league in that first or second spot when it comes to cap space in the NFL. Although the Browns don't have the leverage here in the trade market, all is not lost just because they don't have to trade Baker right now. And that's okay for them. They still have tons of money to go get all the assets they want. There is no downside right now to the Cleveland Browns just having Baker Mayfield sit on their roster for a couple of months right now. Yes, it'd be great to get 19 or maybe $10 million in cap space, depending on if they can trade him and really pay half of his salary. Yes, that'd be great to get either $10 million, $8 million, $9 million, $7 million in cap space, or the full $18 million. Yes, that would be nice. But right now, the Browns are not desperate to get that $18 million back in cap space because they have enough right now. The Browns have not mismanaged this situation. They're not going to be hurt by cutting Baker Mayfield. They're not going to be hurt by sitting him on their roster for a couple of months now. It may lead up to training camp where a quarterback, who knows, may get hurt, and they may have to trade Baker Mayfield to someone who is really desperate. Or a team may see in training camp, okay, this quarterback ain't ready, let's go trade for Baker Mayfield or whatever. The Browns can afford to sit this out and wait. I don't care what anyone says. Just because you want to see Baker Mayfield traded doesn't mean Andrew Berry, who is one of the smartest GMs in the league, is going to budge. The Browns aren't losing anything in having Baker Mayfield on the roster for a couple of months because they're set with their quarterback, with their offense, with their defense, and they still got a bunch of money to spend. Some of the most money to spend in the NFL, and Baker Mayfield on the roster does not affect that at all. And I just kind of want to get to this point where, oh, the league and all these teams are trying to punish the Browns by not trading for Baker Mayfield for them getting Deshaun Watson and paying him all that money. No, that is not the case. And I understand why some people would say this because a lot of owners are mad, but no, this is not what I think. If the Atlanta Falcons paid Deshaun Watson as much money as the Browns paid him and they traded for Deshaun Watson, teams would be calling for Matt Ryan. I don't care if they got Deshaun Watson before they got rid of Matt Ryan. Teams would be still calling for Matt Ryan, and he has an even bigger cap hit than Baker Mayfield. With Baker Mayfield, the Browns got Deshaun Watson, and teams don't want to trade for Baker Mayfield because he's not worth the price he is at $18 million in this one season, because he's not worth it. Teams don't want to trade for Baker simply because he's not worth it, and they want to wait for him to get on the open market. It's simply that Baker ain't that good, and he ain't worth $18 million to spend on your roster. It's not something where the league is trying to blackball the Browns or anything like that. It's just a situation where teams simply don't want Baker Mayfield at $18 million. I'll say it again. If the Falcons traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him the contract, it wouldn't be a situation where teams are trying to punish the Falcons. Teams would be calling for Matt Ryan, at his whatever, over 20 million, 30 million dollars a year, they'd be calling for Matt Ryan in a heartbeat because he's worth the money he's at. Baker Mayfield, no team is calling for him just because he's not worth the money he's at, and people need to accept that and stop making excuses in every situation when it comes to Baker Mayfield. That's all I wanted to say about it. The takeaways you could really take away from this video: the Browns aren't in trouble if they don't trade Baker Mayfield right away. They're actually in excellent shape, especially after June 2nd when they get $10 million in cap space, or $9 million once that money from the Austin Hooper release really adds into their cap space. And then secondly, look, the NFL, I don't think it's all them trying to blackball the Browns. Teams just don't want Baker Mayfield at the price he's at, everyone. We need to accept it. Other than that, this has been Malik Hicks, aka the Ranker of the Ultimate Sports TV, signing off. Peace out, and I'll see you on the other side.